she's definitely not a girl's girl. And saying that, honestly, is like the worst thing that a liberal white woman can call you. Not a girl's girl. She may as well have hit her with a truck. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nada and I make videos about literally whatever I want. Today I am talking about the Ariana Grande cheating scandal, and I'm hoping to look at it from like a stan perspective because I do personally identify as an Ariana Grande stan. And her getting hate in the news is very devastating for me. But I've never been the type of stan of anyone to just like excuse all of their behavior. Like, do I stan Beyonce? Yes. Is she a capitalist? Yes. Like, I don't like that part of it. If that is something that is interesting to you, or if you are interested in more videos about sometimes capitalism, commentary, pop culture, books, television, movies, celebrities, anything like that, please subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really, really does help me find other people who might also be interested in the content that I'm putting out. So without further ado, let's get into it. I was planning to put out a Degrassi video today, but I was filming for like 3 hours yesterday, and the second half of what I was filming didn't record at all because my camera storage was full and I didn't realize. So yeah, I was kind of devastated to have lost half of that video. I don't think that I would have time to completely refilm it, so I'm going to film that probably tomorrow, Sunday or Monday, and then post it on next Sunday. I also wanted to say to all the new people, the people who have recently subscribed to me from my last two videos about ACOTAR, hello, welcome, thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here. I want you to know, because I just want to be 100% transparent and clear about what goes on this channel. Like I said, I make videos about literally whatever I want. So one week that could be a video like this, which is about celebrity drama, or the next week it could be a video about like the 50 books that I read in the year. It really varies based off of what I'm feeling passionate about and drawn to. I like to talk about movies, I like to talk about TV shows, I like to talk about books, but I also sometimes like to do like a critical theory based breakdown of celebrity drama. So if any of that is interesting to you, hello, welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. And honestly, if it's not, thank you so much for coming and hanging out and liking what I have to say. But if you don't think that you will want to be sticking around, I'm absolutely okay with that as well. I'm very much the type of person who's going to do what I want regardless. So if you are saying this is your time to exit stage left, thank you for being here and good luck in the rest of your endeavors. Sending you love and light. But yeah, we're going to just talk more about Ariana Grande and her horrific dating choices, and also like what might be grounding her horrific dating choices. Before I keep going, I want to say I was inspired to do this video after watching a Swiftologist video on this topic, so I will link that up in the card somewhere because I really think you guys should go watch it. It felt like it came from a very compassionate perspective towards Ariana about the whole situation, and also towards the wife that was involved, and none for Gretchen Wieners, none for Ethan Slater. Yeah, that being said, I would say like go watch it because he really helped to like kind of frame my perspective on this whole situation. Ariana Grande has been in the news recently for a massive Elizabethan, and when I say Elizabethan, I'm not talking about Elizabeth the First, I'm talking about Elizabeth Taylor, Elizabethan level cheating scandal. If you've been living under a rock for the past like week, 2 weeks. Earlier in July, it came out that Ariana Grande's marriage with her husband, Dalton Gomez, was over. Now, did I see that coming from a mile away because he is a Leo and she is a Cancer? Yes. Did I hope that that would happen? No. So when I learned that they were breaking up, I wasn't surprised, but I was also still sad for her. Almost immediately after that news came out, news broke that she was dating her Wicked co-star, Ethan Slater. I said, oh, interesting. I've never heard of Ethan Slater. He must be very talented to be working on Wicked with Ariana, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, all of these like big juggernaut stars. And I went to Wikipedia to look him up. Color me shocked when I opened his Wikipedia page and it said that he had been married since 2018. Or found it kind of wild that it says on Wikipedia that he's been married for 5 years, but there's news coming out that he's dating Ariana Grande. I was like, am I missing something? Why is this not the story? I wasn't disappointed for long because the story quickly became, I wonder exactly when Ariana and Ethan started dating because he is still currently married. It was like soon clarified that Ariana and Dalton had separated sometime in January, and apparently Ethan and his wife had been separated for an unknown period of time before he started dating Ariana. Like, we're not dumb. We, as the public, are not stupid, and that timeline doesn't really make any sense if they want to say that there was no overlap. Even if, like, they did fully wait until after he was separated or he had like called it quits with his wife, there was definitely a flirtation. There was definitely an emotional affair at the very least happening between them, because you don't just get out of a relationship with your wife or your partner of several years and then turn around and start dating one of the world's biggest pop stars. Like it takes some time to develop a relationship with a person. There's like overlap, gray area, all of that. And quickly it came out that there seems to have been overlap and gray area involved in all of Ariana's relationships. Now, this is a Elizabeth Taylor, Eddie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds scandal, and it's the one that our generation has been waiting for. We're gonna look back on this and say, damn, that's crazy. And I hope one day Ariana takes a picture with Ethan Slater's ex-wife and they kind of dog him out together. It's that caliber of scandal. And even in that scandal with Elizabeth Taylor, Debbie Reynolds, and Eddie Fisher, nobody really talked about Eddie Fisher. Like, he was as big of a star as the other two. Well, not as big of a star as the other two, but he was a big star too, and nobody really dogged him out. Everybody was like, poor Debbie Reynolds, she got her husband stolen, and that slut Elizabeth Taylor, she stole somebody's husband. I feel like the men always get off scot-free in these situations, and it can't be ignored that this was a very foul thing for him to do to a woman who just gave birth to his child. I don't want him to get lost in this whole situation. And if you guys want to dog him out in the comments down below, I feel super happy and feel free to do that. This is mostly a video about Ariana because I am an Ariana stan and I know the most stuff about her. And I feel really not close to her necessarily, but I feel like I see myself in her in some ways. Like, oh, this is so sad. When Sweetener came out, I was in a relationship and I was listening to Sweetener all the time and I was like, oh my God, yay, yeah, this is exactly how I feel. And then when my relationship broke up right around the same time that Ariana broke up with Pete Davidson, and then she came out with Thank You Next, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, Thank You Next, NASA. And then I was in another relationship when Positions came out, and I was like, oh my God, yes, switching up positions for you. I want to love me the way that you love me. I just hope she puts out another breakup album so that I can kiki with her about this. I have a parasocial relationship with her, right? And this is kind of the devil's bargain that celebrities make with their fans, is in exchange for fame, fortune, and influence, they get hundreds of thousands and millions of people who feel like they know them and have a right to make some sort of commentary on them and their lives. Is that right? Is that good? I can't say, but that's basically what ends up happening. I definitely feel like I have a kind of parasocial relationship with her. That being said, I don't think she would like me if we met, and I don't know that we would be friends, but I really want this video to come from a place of compassion and care and not from a place of judgment, because who am I to judge her? Nobody. And also, I'm not Ethan Slater's wife. It's not I don't have the right to be angry at her the same way that the person who was done dirty by her does. So I did just want to say that before moving forward. Really what I want to focus on with this video is what feels like the kind of disingenuous online discourse about Ariana Grande being like a fake feminist or not being a girl's girl or like whatever. So the quote about her not being a girl's girl came out when Ethan Slater's wife spoke to Page Six about the whole situation and said, Ariana is really the whole story. Like, me and my family are just a collateral damage to her decision that she made. She's definitely not a girl's girl. And saying that, honestly, is like the worst thing that a liberal white woman can call you. Not a girl's girl. She may as well have hit her with a truck. And based off of the way that people are talking about this on Twitter, like, yeah, she may as well have hit her with a truck. Like, they're like, oh my God, not a girl's girl, I would kill myself. That claim goes beyond her having female friends or not, you know? We know that she has a lot of female friends. We see her with them all the time. Courtney Chipolone, who is her childhood friend, Victoria Monet, Taylor Parks, Elizabeth Gillies, like she's very often around a lot of women. I think the essence of the not a girl's girl claim, it's basically like the white women's version of pick me. For Ethan Slater's wife to say that she's not a girl's girl, it's like taking a hit out on her, basically. Now, me personally, if a woman stole my husband after going out to dinner and hanging out with me and him as a couple, and holding my baby and telling me how much she wanted a baby of her own, I wouldn't be calling her not a girl's girl to Page Six. I would be calling my cousins and going over to her house to have a little conversation. Okay, but that's me personally. All right, I'm not advocating for any violence. I'm not saying that anything should be happening, but I'm saying theoretically, if I was in this situation, somebody would be getting their ass beat. And I kind of was in a situation like this a few years ago. When my first relationship ended, there was this person who was friends with one of my friends who was really into my ex, like the person that I was dating at the time. And I didn't know how into them she was because I had never met her before. I had never spent time with her before. But she, or as my friends told me, she was always like, oh my God, I want to meet Nada. I want to see Nada. Like, I want to hang out, because she knew that I was dating my ex. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that makes sense. And I want to be friends with her. She must be so cool if this girl is dating her, right? Mind you, when I finally met her, she was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to meet you for so long. She talks about you all the time. I really just wanted to get to know you, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, so cool. A new friend. Me being a dumb bitch. This is never going to happen again. I was like, oh my God, so cool. A new friend. Like, my friends have told me about you. They've said how much you wanted to meet me and hang out with me. I felt like a celebrity, kind of. Stupid. When me and my ex broke up, within 2 months, she had moved into my ex-girlfriend's apartment and was living with her. And they were fully in a relationship. I was like, oh, you want your ass beat. That's what it is. Because that is foul on another level. And mind you, this girl was also a water sign. So there's some similarities between her and Ariana Grande. They're not together now because relationships like that don't go well. If you are jumping from one relationship to another, or you're like monitoring somebody's ex-girlfriend to figure out what their personality is so that when they finally break up, you can just like swoop in, that's fucking crazy and fucking weird. But there are people like that out there who see a person in a healthy relationship. They see a person that they might be attracted to or that they might like, or they might not even really be attracted to that person. They are just attracted to the fact that that person can be in a stable relationship when they are not in a stable relationship. And then they go, oh, I want a stable relationship, so I need to be with that specific person. And they get close to the person's current partner so that they can figure out how to mold their personality in order to get the person to be with them. And I really feel like that's what Ariana did. She said to herself, I'm going to be happily married to my high school sweetheart. I want to have a baby. She looked at him having all of this and said, I need to be with him in order to get this stuff. And so, like, I'm just going to make it happen however I need to. Now, me personally, when I went through this situation, it was absolutely devastating. That being said, I didn't have a baby. I wasn't less than a year postpartum. I wasn't married to this person, all of that. But it still really fucking hurt my feelings that this person said, basically pretended that they wanted to be friends with me in order to get close to me and get to know me, and then immediately start dating my ex after we broke up. Like that, I can see it from Ethan Slater's wife's perspective. I would be absolutely devastated. And also the fact that it is Ariana Grande, like, she is this huge pop star. And it's like, I'm sorry, I've known you since you were in fucking high school. I'm literally your day one, and you're gonna leave me less than a year after I gave birth to your big head baby in order to go be with someone who's probably gonna leave you when she starts to feel insecure and thinks some other guy is going to fix her life. That's not a read to Ariana. It just is, like, it seems to be the pattern that she gets into with a lot of these relationships. Something that Swiftologist said in his video is that she's probably very insecure. And I think that is a lot of where her signature look for a long time, her like high ponytail, half up, half down hairstyle, the winged liner, I think that's where a lot of that came from, was the insecurity. It's this idea of, if people know exactly what they're going to get from me every time I go out, then they're never going to be surprised, or they can never say that I look particularly bad one day or particularly good another day because I'm consistent. I'm Ponytail. Like, that's, people literally call her Ponytail for a reason. Like I said, I am a stan. I've listened to her last 3 albums in full several times. And a lot of the songs on those albums, like, I'm thinking about Pete Davidson from Sweetener, Just Like Magic from Positions. A lot of the songs from those albums talk about manifestation and healing, and how she took time for herself to heal and then manifested or thought somebody who was perfect for her into her life. And this person is the love of her life, and they're going to be together forever and all of that. And, you know, I have a Pisces Venus, so I go into every situation with that same type of kind of Delulu mindset. I'm like, oh my God, I met the love of my life. I can't wait to be with this person forever. And then something happens, as tends to happen with romantic relationships, and it doesn't work out, and I'm like, damn, it's crazy that I really thought that this person was the love of my life, who I manifested on the 5th dimensional plane. That's kind of embarrassing. It feels like she really is looking for a partner to complete her. And I say this because I have been in a similar space, and I feel like I can see some of myself in her, because we don't have exactly the same birth chart, but like, she has a water sun and a Earth Venus, and I have a water Venus and an Earth Sun. So there's some kind of like similar energy there of like delusional and obsession with love and romance and the storybook and fairy tale. And a lot of a fairy tale romance story is a level of adversity. Like, there has to be some sort of obstacle between you and the person that you want to be with, but then the obstacle gets knocked down and you end up being with them. Like, you think about Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, that's always the case. You get your Prince Charming in the end. The manifestation is kind of like the new wave manifestation of this tendency to say, this relationship is destined because I thought it into existence, or I knew that there was this obstacle, but instead of dwelling on the obstacle, I was able to get it out of the way, not through force, but through like positive thinking and positive energy. Like, I saw this guy and I wanted him, and I knew that he was married, and I still pined after him, but instead of going after him while he was married, I just waited until the relationship inevitably dissolved, and then he came for me because we were meant to be. I think these relationships that she's manifesting, this love that she's manifesting, falls apart because it's not grounded in high self-esteem. It's not grounded in a high self-concept. And not to talk about Vanderpump Rules again, but she does kind of, and my sister said this when we were in the car, she does kind of remind me of Raquel Leviss, looking for validation in men. And when you can't get it from one guy, it's because they weren't the right partner, or they weren't the person that you were meant to be with, so you have to go find somebody else who is the person that you're meant to be with. I don't think that dragging her, I don't think that like the peanut gallery, the people on the internet being mean to her about this situation, is going to help anything. I think she needs to really do some introspection, and this isn't coming from a place of judgment as much as it is coming from a place of like genuine concern, genuine desire for her to be okay. Now, for Ethan Slater, he is the main person to blame in this situation because he is the one who has known his now ex-wife, I guess, for most of their adult lives. He's the one who married her. He's been with her. And it's not lost on me that this is a Gemini man, okay? First of all, I'm going to say I don't see this relationship lasting very long because Gemini Cancer doesn't really give that to me. Second of all, who was the last Gemini man who was involved in a major cheating scandal? Ned from Try Guys. Are we surprised? No. Ethan Slater is nasty. He's nasty for doing this. This is disgusting work. Not even just to date somebody who tried to ingratiate themselves into your life for less than a year after your wife gave birth to your child, but he was as recently as Mother's Day, he was posting about how much he loves his wife. He could have been lying. He could have been putting on a show for the cameras or whatever, but he made that post on Instagram. That signals to people that you're still together, even if you might be having problems, even if you're like physically apart, whatever. So for him to so soon be in a relationship, I just think that it's just nasty work, and I think that he should be ashamed of himself. But I want to come back to this idea of Ariana Grande not being a girl's girl, right? So you could say that that's the truth. I don't know, because I don't know her personally, but like this idea of her not being a girl's girl feels like it stems from her being willing to step over any woman who might be in the way of her getting to the guy that she has decided is her soulmate or the like person who's going to make her life better or whatever. I want us to kind of challenge ourselves to think about what being a girl's girl or what being in community with, what being an identity-based community with people means when you are at such a high level of power, prestige, and acclaim. People don't get to Ariana Grande's level without, in some way, divesting from identity-based community. The Black people who are most successful in whatever field they're in have had to get there in some ways by saying, I don't care as much about the rest of my community. The biggest example that I can think of right now, which feels kind of extreme at this point, but whatever, is Barack Obama. He started out as a community organizer, somebody who saw needs that people had in Chicago and was working very diligently towards helping to meet those needs through grassroots organizing. And he brought that experience to his first presidential campaign. As soon as he gets in office, almost, he completely divests from that entire perspective. We saw the largest uptick in people being incarcerated at the border during Barack Obama's presidency. I think like the most bombs dropped on Muslim majority countries during his presidency. All of these things that he was doing that were the Dodd-Frank Act, which really strengthened the power of the financial sector in this country at the expense of the middle class. We are, in a lot of ways, in the horrible financial position that we're in right now, where the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer because of Barack Obama's presidency. And in order for him to thrive at that high level as a Black man, he had to say pretty much, all the rest of the Black people, I'm going to do what I want. Similarly, and this isn't as huge of a thing because Ariana Grande isn't literally the president of the United States, but she is a very popular pop star. To get to that level as a pop star, can't identify so heavily with the groups that you are a part of that make up your identity. I'm thinking too about Kim Petras. Again, her identity as a woman doesn't matter to her as much as her status or her getting up higher, climbing the ladder as an international pop star. She worked with Dr. Luke for a long time and got a lot of flack for it after it came out about what he allegedly did to Kesha. And she put out a statement and she was like, I don't understand why people are getting mad at me for working with somebody who is making good music because of something that he did that didn't affect me. it's because of solidarity. Like, there's an expectation of solidarity based off of identity, but once you get to that high level of fame, influence, and prestige, solidarity doesn't mean anything to you, because solidarity is actually actively going to hold you back from continuing to climb the ladder. Pretty much every big rapper that you can think of is probably a Republican. Like, Kanye West is the one who gets the most flack for this, but a lot of them have come out and said that they voted for Donald Trump or they support Donald Trump. Why is that? Because Donald Trump protects the interests of the ultra wealthy, and they are ultra wealthy. For them to be in solidarity with the Black community that they came from, they would have to divest from their own interests as ultra wealthy, high status rappers, and that's not in their like long-term best interests. So they are going to align themselves with power. Ariana Grande, there's a nice way that she is grounded and has community from her childhood, right? Like I mentioned earlier, she has friends like Courtney and Taylor and Victoria, who also, a lot of them work with her and have helped her make these huge hits. But she's also aligned with men in power who have actively suppressed the careers of women who are her contemporaries. Scooter Braun with Taylor Swift, Dan Schneider with Jeanette McCurdy. And Jeanette kind of told on Ariana Grande without telling on her in her memoir, when she was talking about how Ariana was just like this clueless kind of princess who got to spend all of this time at Tom Hanks's house playing games, and Dan just loved her, and Ariana wasn't using her relationship with Dan to advocate for Jeanette. She just was like kind of obliviously being this successful, young, hot, up-and-coming pop star that she was. I do think, and people might hear this and say, well, is it her job to yell at a man for how he is treating a woman? Because that could put her in danger. And that is the crux of the entire argument that I'm making. She is not a girl's girl because it has never behooved her to be a girl's girl. It's never been to her benefit in the trajectory of her career to be a girl's girl. And she's never had to exercise that muscle. She's never had to, and this is again, just like based off of publicly available information. I don't know everything about her life, so I could be entirely wrong. She could be like behind the scenes advocating for fair wages for her co-stars in television shows and whatever. But based off of what we know, that's not the case. She's not calling Scooter Braun and saying, like, release Taylor Swift's masters. She wasn't on set with Dan Schneider being like, you need to be nicer to Jeanette. And is it her job to do that? The American individualist ideal will say no. But me, I say yes. Maybe that's controversial, but I say yes. Advocate when you see that somebody is suffering or in a bad position and you know that you have the positionality to support them, advocating for them, even at your own expense, is you are obligated to do that as a member of a human society. Now, I'm also coming from the perspective, I've never been a multi-millionaire pop star loved by millions of people or billions of people across the world. But I'm coming from the perspective of, at a certain point, I could have enough money. Maybe my entire career is ruined by me standing up to people who are in power and taking advantage of people, but it's worth it if I'm able to help someone. I will just take my money and go, like, work at a high school or something. Like, it's not that serious to me. Capitalism is that you constantly have to be getting more money, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and gaining more followers and gaining more attention and making more money and getting more popularity, even if it is at your own expense. As I saw in Swiftologist's video, Ariana has said multiple times, like, she likes to sing, she likes to perform, but if she could do that in a dark room and no one looks at her, that would be her ideal setup. So it feels like the bigger growth isn't something that really matters to her as much as getting to express herself creatively is. And if that too is my priority, then I would say fuck what anybody else is going to say to me. Fuck what anybody else is going to do to me. I'm going to advocate for this person because I know that we share a similar position and they need me to be able to do this. You don't get to practice that when you spend your entire life aiming for superstardom. She started singing, acting, performing when she was a little kid. And I think a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that she was like playing Annie when she was 8 years old. You know, she was on Broadway when she was 13. She was in a television show when she was like 16, 17. Like, she's been doing this for a long time. And I think that's part of why also like the Me Too movement in Hollywood, it's really fizzled out and died down. And we have been experiencing the backlash against Me Too for the past like 2 years or something. But it's because this is a group of people who have, for the most part, never had to advocate for anything that goes against their best interests out loud. They can give money to charity and get their tax deductions. I don't think that they have the background or understanding to really know how to create a change-focused movement, because so much about succeeding in the entertainment industry in particular is about pandering to and pleasing the men at the top, the white men, the rich old white men at the top, at the expense of any other group of people that you might be a part of. Do I think that Ariana Grande is a girl's girl? No, but I also don't think that she ever really was given the chance to be one, you know? And honestly, like, her entire life, her livelihood has been predicated on whether or not people like her and how much people like her. And if people like her a lot, then she's good. And if people like her a little, then she's bad. And she's been very lucky to have, almost consistently for her entire career, people like her a lot. I think she must be going through a lot mentally right now to see the like public perception turn so aggressively. And it feels sad, but also like this might be generative of important reflection for her. Honestly, like, if we're at the point where we think a man like Ethan Slater is going to fix our lives, I think there's a Gemini man is not going to do anything positive for your life. I just want to say that. Never, nothing, no issue that, and my father was a Gemini man, okay? Nothing that he has to say, do, be, or exist as is going to help somebody else's life. A lot of people have said, you know, how you get them is how you lose them. I mean, look at Raquel Leviss and the whole situation with Ariana Madix and Tom Sandoval. Like, Ariana had an affair with Tom. Raquel had an affair with Tom. Now that relation, and she's the one who broke up the relationship, but whatever. Well, I don't need to talk about Vanderpump Rules right now. I'm going to stop talking because I feel like I've been talking for a very long time, and I meant for this to be a short video, and as usual, I end up talking for like nearly an hour. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts about this. I try to look at everything kind of from like the perspective of critical theory and also like the shit that I learned in college because I have to be using that degree for something. So I really want to hear in the comments down below like what your ideas about this are. Do you feel at all more like you kind of understand how Ariana ended up in this situation? I mean, I know like she is wrecking a home actively, and I do feel, like I said earlier, I do feel really bad for Ethan Slater's wife, but I think it's also important to always look at the world from the perspective of where people might be coming from and why people might be doing things before we start to condemn them for the things that they're doing. Well, I mean, like small potatoes, stuff like this. I'm not talking about like war criminals. Barack Obama. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like commentary videos about pop culture. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.